Hello, algoriters. This is Al Reynolds, and I'm your judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. Now, you know, in the Court of Public Opinion, this is a place where you, the people's voice, can and will be heard. Tonight is Friday night, and we got a special trial. Well, we got a special court session tonight because guess what? We have two new legal beagles, and we're going to need your help in giving those legal beagles their emojis. First up, I want to start with our returning legal beagle. We know by the fiery emoji, it's Shatan Turner, our civil attorney. Shatan Turner, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. You're on mute.
Sorry, Your Honor. Glad to be back. Sorry I missed you when we were both in D.C. this week, but I'm glad to see you tonight. Hi, algoriters.
I know. I'm upset about that. All right. Also joining us again, welcome back, Ashley Valenzuela. She is our entertainment attorney from Los Angeles, California. Ashley, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm always happy to be here.
I'd love to see you go from dark hair to blonde hair. You keep it
more fun. It's true.
You keep it sexy, and her emoji is the queen crown, the crown emoji. So for our Ashley Valenzuela, let's make sure we throw the crown in the chat. Also joining us, new first time ever here in the Court of Public Opinion, is counselor. He calls himself humorous at law. That is Counselor Sean Carter. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, I'm happy to be here for my first and last time. So thank you very much.
What you mean last time?
I'm not coming back, and let me tell you why. Because y'all too good looking. All right, you ain't gonna put me up in here, and I'm the ugly guy, and it's damn. It look like America's Top Model teenager this year. Look at these people. All right, these are gorgeous people. You need to bring in Flavor Flav, somebody who can make me look good. But I ain't coming back here. You can find somebody ugly before you get me back here.
Come on, you're not ugly. It's all in the eye of the behold. All right, the last up, what are we gonna do for what emoji would you like to represent you, humorous at law, Counselor Carter?
Oh,
the laugh emoji.
There we go. Give me the laugh emoji.
All right, let's do the laugh emoji. And you guys are hearing me correctly. It's humorous. HUMORIST at law. That's what he's known for. All right, and welcome also a newcomer, but not a newcomer for me. This is my long-time friend, Counselor Jade Mathis. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hello, Judge Reynolds. You're my second favorite judge, so I'm so happy to be here today in front of you.
You mean you don't love me more than your dad, Judge Mathis?
Of course not. Of course not. Not on here. I don't, Dad. No, I
Jade is a civil rights attorney and also a criminal attorney. So, Jade, what do you think you want your emoji to be tonight?
Anything with some sunglasses on it or shade.
Okay, sunglasses or shade. So the sunglass emoji on. Okay, got it. All right, everybody, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on those notifications because this show is only going to get better, and we want you to be a part of all of the evolution of it. And don't forget to drop down in these comments because we have a show for you tonight. All right, first up, Young Thug, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. In October 2024, rapper Young Thug, legally named Jeffrey Williams, pleaded a guilty plea in a long-running trial over his association with Young Slim's Life, which is YSL, which prosecutors argued was a gang posing as a record label. Wow. His case was high profile due to his celebrity status and because of the broader implication of his gang involvement, extending back to criminal activities dating from YSL's information around 2015. The trial spanned nearly a year with extensive proceedings, delays, and legal battles before his decision to plead guilty and go home. Attorney Jade Mathis, please tell me, you're a criminal attorney. How did this happen?
It's something that we don't know. It is something that we don't know because he only received time served, which is 2 years. These crimes that he is convicted of, not alleged, but convicted of, they could have, one alone could have maxed to 20 years or life in prison. So that part, I really, really, really don't understand what happened that we don't know and they're leaving out. But one thing I will say is he probably did not have a prior criminal record. And if it did, it probably was nominal because that's generally how you'll have more time in and more backup time. So I doubt that he had that. Also, 15 years of probation, that's astronomical. I have never said that. The highest I've ever given anyone in probation was 5 years. So I don't even know how they finagled that part. But in this plea, also for some of the convictions, as in the racketeering, he pled nolo, which is no contest, which is saying that you have enough to prove that I'm guilty. Did you consider to prosecute this case or put it in front of the judge? You have enough to prove it, but I'm not going to admit that I am or I'm not guilty.
Attorney Carter, talk to me about this. Is actually precedence in music industry because the use of RICO to prosecute, right? Someone like Young Thug, that's a very significant legal precedent because you're taking what they're rapping about, right? Right. That's what they're making their money. And now the courts are saying we can use what you rap and talk about to investigate you, and in this case, charge you.
Yes and no. Remember, that's part of the reason why it took 2.5 years to go to trial, and why they never even got through a trial is because they were fighting this out in the courts as to whether you could actually do that. So I wouldn't say this necessarily serves as precedent, but it certainly shows where they're going, right? It's the same thing, by the way, it did with Diddy. They didn't just say that Diddy did all these horrible things. They said, you have a criminal enterprise. You got other people doing this with your record label, et cetera, and we're going to treat you like the mob, right? And so this is going to be a thing, I think, going forward a lot. You know, 2.5 years of time served seems like a really light thing for this punishment, but I'm sure they think they're going to get him on the back end because of that 15 years of probation. And that's
you're convinced. Yeah, you've talked about that.
Yeah.
You talked about that in the chambers, that you really felt like the 15 years was setting him up for the okie doke. And I'm like, if I had choices of going in for 15 years or being on probation for 15 years, I would take the probation. Like I wouldn't, I'm still confused. The reason why I'm confused, and help me out here, Attorney Turner, I'm confused at how a trial, in essence, they took longer to prepare for this trial and try it than he's going to spend in jail. You're on mute.
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was, I was collecting my thoughts. It does happen from time to time because he did have time served. And so part of what they're trying to do with the plea deals is to come up with a compromise that worked for the defendant and for the state. And so in this case, it was the longest trial in Georgia history. There was a lot of publicity associated with it. And it seems like the prosecutors wanted to resolve this now. And he also wanted to have this behind him.
So what is this actually saying to the guys in the music industry, though? That's the part where I think I'm
putting your crimes in your raps.
Yeah. Keep some things to yourself.
Keep some things to yourself, but also it's a dangerous precedent to set. Like you were saying, Al, it's a dangerous thing because I am in the music industry. I'm involved heavily in the music industry. I'm in the studio. I've given people lyrics. I've written things. And it's a lot of cap in a lot of people's rap. Like, you're saying
cap in the rap. I like that.
It's a whole lot of cap. And I'm telling you, because you don't know who wrote that line. You don't know if they dreamt about it. Artists are creatives. You're literally creating things for a living. So yes, if you're saying, yeah, I started this gang and we killed all these people, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but there needs to be like a line and like some serious stipulations around this because it's a creative.
Right, a process, right.
And it's usually collaborative. It's 10, 15 people, and someone could have said, you should change the word lifted him up to shot him down. And then seriously.
Yeah, and they need to be smart enough to know, to Ashley's point, that their evidence or their music or their products, whatever they're making, can and probably will be used against you in a court of law. When I was a prosecutor, you wouldn't imagine how many guys we would be in trial with, and then they're not supposed to have any gun possession around them. They're only strict stipulations when they're out on bond. And we would push record for a video we found on their Instagram of them talking about the video with them talking about F the judge, F the DA, I'm gonna do da, surrounded by guns and drugs. So we're like, yep, there you go, Your Honor. All right, guilty is guilty. Yeah. So we've had a lot of people who use their social media to get their information off of there and the content that they make. And I've used that in trial before.
Yeah. And we should be clear here though, that's not the only evidence they had. All right, Young Thug probably done some thugging. And the reason, for instance, the reason he was in jail for the last 2.5 years is because they were afraid to let him out because of witness intimidation and some other stuff. So
Right.
I don't think it was just making the stuff up. But the point that remains is that from now on, he's going to have to mumble, because he's not doing no rapping anyway, but he's going to have to mumble about the ABC, some Dr. Seuss, no more of that's in the street stuff. And I don't know how they got him on the lyrics because I can't understand a damn word he said. But I'm old.
Well,
They were calling him Young Thug, though.
maybe Attorney Velasquez is on to something, right? Because she was talking about the creative process. Like, it never occurred to me that maybe Biggie actually was making a disclaimer when he started his rap. It was all a dream, right? He was telling everybody, regardless of what you hear in this song, it ain't
Right.
true. So maybe lawyers need to get in the rap crafting business so that we can help them. We're going to have to learn how to rhyme a little bit better, but it sounds like Attorney Velasquez already knows how, and help them say, this is not a roadmap to what I did in these streets. This is just me pretending, right?
Or a little disclaimer at the top, or at the top of the video, or at the top of the
Right.
This is not. This is what do they say at BMF show? This is all events are fictional, or something. They need to do something like that.
That's a good point.
Because no matter what you think, it really is a collaborative process. And when I started representing artists and producers and engineers and people in the music industry, my producer friend, he literally put me in the booth to record music and said, you don't want to see what it's like to be who you're representing. You don't want to, do what they do. And that night I made a song and I came out thinking, oh, I'm about to be the best rapper alive. But now I understand what they do. I understand the process of making a song. I manifested my Benzie 5 years ago. I'm driving a Ford Fusion. You know what I mean? So it's something that people in the music industry, in the legal industry, if those worlds are merged for you, you should delve into it and really understand who you're representing.
Right. I'm surprised that the record labels have not talked to their talents about this type of stuff. Especially
I think they do. They don't listen. They don't take heed. Oh, I'm sorry.
They what?
I think that they do. They don't take heed, because I've talked to clients before about it, and they do the opposite of what I told them to do. And then now the charges are worse. So I think they are talking to them. They just don't care.
Yeah.
Got it. They're just making much more money off of that image, right?
It's provocative.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of provocative, 90 Day Fiance star Michael Elos, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. The case involving 90 Day Fiance star Mike centers on his conviction on 2 federal charges of child pornography possession. Michael, 40, was sentenced to 10 years and 1 month in federal prison, followed by a decade of strict supervision under the U.S. District Judge Patricia Guggen in Ohio's Northern District. This sentence reflects the severity of child pornography charges in the U.S. federal court system, where mandatory minimums and guidelines aim to address the impact on victims and society. I'm going to throw to you on this, Attorney Carter, because you were telling me that I was asking in the chambers, why did the judge choose the punishment that he chose? Because from my understanding, it was Jade, because it was my understanding that he only downloaded stuff. Am I missing something in this case? Let's go to you, Jade Mathis.
I believe it was another attorney that spoke about that. I spoke about the sentencing that he should have received, or what's the minimum and maximum in the event that he is convicted. I think it was another attorney on, though.
Oh, was that?
I commented on that because I had some experience with it through some prior dealings. And here's something that the algorithm should understand. One, most reasonable people would agree that child pornography is bad and that people just shouldn't be engaged. They shouldn't produce it. They shouldn't look at it. They shouldn't have anything to do with it. Here's what people don't appreciate about the federal child pornography laws, though, and that is they are very unforgiving. They do not factor in that someone may have made a mistake. in downloading something. And so it's the downloading itself and opening it and viewing it that gets people caught up. And they do not care what your reason is for doing it. Just having it on your computer is enough for conviction. And I imagine that is why his wife wrote the letter of support for him, because she believed whatever explanation he had for downloading it. I'm not sure how her explanation went with the distribution of it, but maybe he told her that, he forwarded to people because he couldn't believe that he got it. So here's the other thing too for the algoriters is if someone sends it to you, you also can't open it, because if you do, you'll get caught up. You need to just understand that what you do in the privacy of your own home on your computer can put you in prison if it's child pornography.
That's insane to me.
Yeah. And also, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel like that's insane to me, because I'm one of those people that when people email me, I'm very careless. I'll go through it real quick. If there's a link, I'll hit the link. And that's not good. No. That's what I'm hearing, because just by downloading, I could be exposing myself, right, in a bad way.
Yes. If you happen to do it inadvertently, you need to call the authorities on your own and say, look, this came on my computer. And so then, perhaps the immediate self-reporting might be viewed differently. But if they come after you, and you should also know, they come knocking on your door because they have a lot of electronic breadcrumbs, if you will, that are on those sites that allow them to find people who download them and forward that material and distribute it. And so it's one of those things that, regardless of the political affiliation of the administration, tends to get a lot of traction.
So let me ask you this then. So because I was reading this particular story, he has to also pay restitution to 2 of the victims. How do they decide who those victims were?
So they have to pay. I think I spoke about that one, but he has to pay $20,000 full in restitution, and that's going to be spread among the 4 victims. I don't know if it's 2 receive $5,000 for sure. I'm not sure with the other ones how their portion is broken up, but yes, he will have to do that. But the victims, some of them could have been put on notice, some of them could have been identified. I feel like there was a lot more victims than he's being accounted for, but right. Someone has to come forth and say something. And a lot of times, their parents are going to feel uncomfortable and they don't want to traumatize their children or anything of that sort. And a victim, we can only seek justice on behalf of a victim if we have a victim. So they can assume, but it has to be an actual victim.
So is this, Attorney Carter, is this considered human trafficking?
No.
Okay.
It's certainly wrong, disgusting, and all that. Human trafficking is actually interesting because it's one, you take someone across, it's usually just moving someone across state lines. Mm-hmm. By the way, the interesting thing about it is that it's also, by the way, trafficking. If you were to say be in New York City, hire an escort from New Jersey, pay your Uber over to your to Manhattan, that's literally trafficking. I'm not saying you're going to go to prison for that, but it's bringing someone across state lines for illicit sexual activity purposes.
So why did he have to pay a fund dedicated to victims of human trafficking? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It was part of his restitution. So they can identify what the penalty is going to be in a variety of ways. And so it was part of his restitution that he had to pay that for the human trafficking, but it didn't necessarily mean that he had been convicted of human trafficking.
Okay, last question. Do we know at all if he was just going onto the sites, or was he actually going onto these kiddie porn sites and contacting the kids? Do we know any of the inside details of this case? Anybody?
I don't think we know that. My understanding is that, because I actually asked and tried to look into this and find out, was it, how many images and videos, whatever it was. And they basically said, what I got an understanding is that the FBI also is on these sites. So there's a message board and guys are trading pictures back and forth or whatever. And there's usually some undercover person there posing as a pedophile to try to. And so when they found that out, they traced his username and accessed his computer and did all that stuff and found out who he was. And so it's not like this isn't someone who's trying to like, what was that thing with To Catch a Predator? right? Where he's not contacting the kids directly.
Okay,
he's
got it.
Creating it with other, creepy pedos.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Judge Reynolds, I want to bring up how unfair I think it is that he asked the judge, could he delay his sentence until after Christmas because he wants to spend time with his 5-year-old child. And the judge consented to that. I think that's very odd.
That is weird. Like, why that? What?
Yeah.
Ooh, the things that go down in the court system. Do we know what state this is? No, right? It's where?
Ohio.
Where? Oh, good old Ohio. All right. All right.
Bad things come out of Ohio.
I mean, Daddy always used the term.
Wait a minute. Is your husband from Ohio? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, my husband's from Pittsburgh. I'm not talking about him this time. I was actually talking about one of the candidates, but I was low key.
Judge Reynolds, you gonna do her husband like that?
Well, you don't know that history, Jade. We go after him a lot.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right. Speaking of going after someone, Tekashi 6ix9ine, welcome to the court of public opinion. The case involving rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine centers on alleged violations of his supervised release, including unauthorized travel, missing drug tests, and testing positive for methamphetamine. Tekashi was detained in New York and will remain in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn until his hearing on February 12th. For those who are not familiar, that is the same jail that Sean Diddy Combs is based in right now. Attorney Valenzuela, tell us, as our entertainment attorney, what is going on with this case with Tekashi 6ix9ine? Is he still around?
So the short answer is probably no. It's probably been about 5 years since he was in his prime. 2019, pre-COVID, if you guys remember, he was arrested. That's where this probation stems from. And it was for racketeering, similar to YSL, in relation to the nine Trey Gangsta Bloods. That is the gang associated with him. And so he pled guilty and he was sentenced to 2 years. 2020, COVID came around and the judge released him, due to coronavirus. Everybody was trying to get released for their safety. And ever since then, he's just not cared. He's not shown up to his hearings. He's violated, he's failed drug tests. He's missed drug tests. And also he's been arrested even as recently as this year for domestic violence and not getting assaulted in the gym, for actually hitting someone else, even as recent as this year. So for now, he's back in jail. They issued a bench warrant after he didn't show up for his hearing. He thought he didn't have to show up. He thought he didn't have to do drug testing anymore. So now he's just sitting there. And I think his hearing is on the 12th, whenever they're going to find out what happens next.
So how did he get caught in New York? Why New York?
So this is where all of his cases stem from. That's where he's from. That's where he grew up, and he went back to New York after he was arrested in 2019 for the gang violence. That all happened in New York. But from my understanding, he's been living in Dominican Republic. So I don't know if he was just in DR and that's why he didn't show up to his hearing. But even as recent as showing up for his hearing this week, he was late. And now he tested positive for methamphetamines. So
wow.
For him, he just truly doesn't have any respect for the justice system at this point.
So it seems like his career is going in the opposite direction it's supposed to be going. Is there any hope for revitalization at all, or revamping?
I mean, anybody can make a comeback, but nobody likes a snitch. And he got a 2-year sentence, and his other co-defendants got, I think, Attorney Carter, I think he said the other guys got like 40-something years, and he got.
What was that? What was that, Attorney Carter?
Let me go to the rundown here. So he snitched. Anthony Harv Ellison got 24 years. All right. Aljamain Nuke Mack got 17 years. Kafano Shadi Jordan got 15 years. And I love this, Jamal Mel Murder Jones got 11 years. By the way, just brothers out there, if you just a little hint, if you call yourself murder, and then people accuse you of murder, we're gonna believe it.
Right.
All right, why don't you call yourself church poor? I think that's open. And we might believe it. You can't just call yourself murder, killing, stabbing, robbing, and then go to trial and be like, I didn't do it. Really? That's your name.
That's your
Hey,
name.
Attorney Carter, they should call like Deacon, right?
Thank you. Right, exactly.
And your Honorable Reynolds, one thing that I'm really to answer your question, one thing that really disappoints me is that he had literally just signed a new business contract for $2 million. And one of the conditions of that contract was that he would stay out of trouble. So he knew that violating the terms of his probation, to drug test, to stay out of trouble, to ask for permission before you left, he knew that that would violate everything. So you were willing to throw all of that away to be relevant again, which I'm sure that's what you wanted,
right?
Violating simple terms of probation.
I got a bigger problem, and that's the meth. All right.
Right.
You're a multi-millionaire. You doing meth, really? Can you level up a little bit, do a little coke or something?
Right there.
Counselor Carter, are you recommending that our broke entertainers move, like elevate their drug use up to coke?
Thank you. Weed is legal. I mean, do meth. How you gonna do meth?
Methamphetamine might be cheap, but they get you high. We have learned enough. Like, how many times have there been a star who's been in a crack house sucking on a crack pipe, and everybody's like, why would they do that? Because it works.
So does weed, and it's legal.
Well, y'all, to his defense, meth is another word for Adderall. Well, that's the active ingredient in Adderall as well. That's what it say on my Adderall bottle when I pick it up. So the first letters are meth. So to his defense, I can see his team arguing that it was Adderall or another substance that tested similar to meth, but I don't think it's believable. I think people make themselves look crazy. When I was a drug court prosecutor in a diversion court, we would have people come in that they committed crime because of narcotics. And y'all, I had the craziest story one time. A lady tested positive for cocaine, and the judge asked her why. And this judge, he always he let people hang themselves. But I was like, why would you do this to this lady? So she tells the story of how she was over her friend's house, and he gave her a cup of coffee, and then it was like white powder cream powder next to her. So she assumed that it was powder cream to put inside, but I think she fell asleep or something. Maybe she went down to research, and that's why she tested positive for cocaine. I'm like, girl, okay. Okay, girl. You are going to jail.
That would be a defense that Diddy might want to take advantage of how that substance got in those drinks. That there was just something, they mistook some sugar, right? And they were making some margaritas or whatever, and they put it around the rim, and it was just all a mistake.
I sent her to jail, but yeah, that's a good excuse of you. I'm like, now you're funny. You made us all laugh.
Oh, God.
Don't insult my intelligence.
She got a cup of coffee.
Like, I have a person who tested positive for PCP, and he said that he was standing next to somebody at the bus stop, and the person was smoked it, and it transferred over to. I was like, okay.
Well, while we on memory lane, I got a story of a lawyer, all right, who should know better. He argued with that when he got caught with meth that he was at a meth den, but he didn't smoke the meth. But you can't be unpolite. So he grabbed the meth and put it in, and you put the pipe in his hand, but he didn't inhale, the whole Clinton thing. And then it just got in his fingertips. See, and then we got the fingertips. And this fool, by the way, tried to be slick about it. And because they do hair and blood and hair samples and fingernail, he cut his fingernails down to the quick. Cut his hair off. By the way, not just the hair on his head, all the hair. All right, all the hair, because he didn't know about blood tests. You never heard of that?
Yes, they forget about that.
Yeah, they forget about that. But you think if he just go, you do a whole seal thing and just cut it all off, he'd be good.
Well, Attorney Carter, do you remember, and you might know this too, Attorney Mathis, there was this lawyer, I think it was in California during the pandemic, and the pressure of the pandemic got to this woman, and I guess she was smoking a bong, like a crack bong, in court, because remember everybody was doing court virtually, and they had a long waiting time, and they lined all the cases up, and she didn't realize that everybody was on camera, and people were trying to say, somebody stop her, and they saw her in there, they saw her heat up the bottom, and she was going in on it. Oh, I'm telling you, Google it, it's a true story. Yeah, she got disciplined.
all her Zoom.
Yes, she was supposed to be representing a client. That's why she was in court. But yeah, she was waiting her turn, and it was too much. She said the pandemic was just too much.
Well, I know a crackhead when I see one, baby. So I'm gonna look at that video.
My pipe.
Ooh. I know a crackhead when I see one. My daddy taught me what a crackhead looked like. He taught me how to play. He taught me how they move. You know how they talk. He didn't taught me how their bank account coming up. He taught me what a crackhead looked like. So
let's be honest here, Jade. Your daddy think everybody a crackhead. All right, let's be.
I mean, they might be. Everybody he accuses might be. There,
That is hilarious.
You might not be wrong, but he's
wrong about. Ain't nothing worth losing my teeth. So people who are considering using meth, and just for the record, all of the people who are on in the court of public opinion, we all eschew drugs now. But I be the shit saying that if you decide to use meth, then you need to make sure you keep a good dentist, because everybody knows what the meth look like. You see them on TV. They started out looking good, then they end up gaunt, drawn, and toothless.
In face, peeling face. That's the one they use them. They use the meth picture for the do not do drugs campaign. They always use. Like they use that person. So
for dentures right now.
Speaking of crazy cases, Justin Johnson, welcome to the court of public opinion. Justin Johnson is convicted of the murder of rapper Young Dolph. He received an additional 50 years on top of a life sentence in Shelby County, Tennessee. Johnson was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and possession of a firearm as a felon. The 50-year sentence includes 35 years for conspiracy, 15 years for the firearm charge to be served concurrently. The life sentence extended prison terms underscores the severity of violent offenses, especially involving firearms, and reflects the court's emphasis on community safety. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. What in the world is going on here? Like 50 years on top of life? What does that mean?
That means after you die, let's say another 50 years, and that's until you ride out. No, and the reason they do that is because, let's say, for instance, that somehow the murder conviction got overturned. Right, it got canceled. They changed the law and said we no longer have life without possibility of parole. Now you can go for parole. That's why they throw the extra 50 years on. So even if you get parole, even if it gets overturned, they say, yeah, but you still got another 50 years. So unless his brother is he got to cut out all the pork and eat right, maybe he can live to be 90 or 200 years old to get out. But chances are he's not coming out anymore. And I'm not sure what he was even thinking about. This isn't a beef where you got into a fight in a hotel in a club over something. Somebody got drunk and said something. Right. This was premeditated. The defendant is what's his rap name? I think Jay knows.
Straight drop.
Straight drop. Right. Right. And so he and his boy got the drop. All right. On Young Dolph. Unfortunately, they went out the day before and stole a white Mercedes. Then this is the best part, because if you steal a white Mercedes, it's no fun to have a Mercedes and not put it on the gram, right? You got to flex it and put it on the gram. So they got pictures of them in the Mercedes or whatever. And sure enough, they use that to tie back to him. So after the murder that they had, tracked Young Dolph down, coordinated with their cell phones, make sure they had enough DMs. You want to leave enough physical evidence to get caught after this. And they end up, getting caught, and they tie the car back to him like, look, ain't that you on the gram? Ain't that you with 75,000 likes? And so now, he's going to spend the rest of his life and 50 years after that in prison, right, for this murder.
And it was all because he was trying to get signed. He was trying to get a deal.
What's the?
He had a couple songs. I told you they went triple aluminum.
What is aluminum, please? What is aluminum and double aluminum?
That's where my first book sale went. I went aluminum.
It went, that was cute. Try again, write another one.
My mama bought one, and my daddy and my Uncle Charles. So don't you just me.
Just sold 3 books
At least.
I mean, but let's be real though. If someone's saying you could get signed to the label if you kill somebody, like it's really something going on with you if you that's what you're gonna do. Like, I've heard of selling your soul for money, but like kill somebody to get a record label is crazy. So
cred though, Attorney Valenzuela. I mean, people are trying to figure out all these ways how they're gonna be down, how they're gonna be famous. What better way to put your name in lights? This is ridiculous. I'm with you.
Now
you take a life. I mean, the thing that's so troubling about it, right, is not that one of my friends who's a judge now, she'll remain nameless for the purposes of the show. She won't be my friend anymore, but she has an expression. She doesn't blame the person who had the bad idea. She blames the person who heard the bad idea and decided to execute the bad idea. Yeah, because they're the one with the problem.
He was told, his friend was trying to manage him and told him about Yo Gotti. Yo Gotti don't like Young Dolph. Yo Gotti's brother wants to take him out. If you can do this for me, we're gonna get you that deal. Let me be your manager.
Is it down in the deal?
All of it makes sense. Like he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go do this.
Got
to get a deal." All right, everybody, be sure to hit that like button because the likes aren't liking. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, send that subscription information over to a friend. Invite them to come join the show. I told you this panel is on fire tonight. Throw in the chat those fire emojis. Jade, we never gave you an emoji.
It was the sunglasses.
Oh, sunglass emoji for Jade. Don't forget to throw in that crown for Attorney Ashley, and also for our newcomer Sean Carter. Sean, what was the laughing emoji? Mm-hmm. Oh, and throw in that algorithm. Throw in the fax machine for the algorithm. And don't forget to drop down in those comments because we love when you guys are commenting, and it seems like you're really enjoying the panel and the show tonight. All right, as we rotate into the last story of the evening, this one took me out, and I'm still mad today. All right, the young man. Oh, okay. The young man in South Carolina.
Young
older man in South Carolina.
I was going to say he must have been somebody different. I haven't seen him.
Y'all are bad. Y'all are bad. In South Carolina that assaulted the poll worker. Welcome to the court of public opinion in South Carolina. It's illegal to display political items like campaign hats or clothing within polling places as it constitutes electioneering under the state law. I did not know about this. Violating this strict restriction can result in removal from the polling location, fines, and even criminal charges. Assaulting an election worker intensifies these legal ramifications as physical harm or threat against poll workers can lead to assault charges, potential jail time, and additional penalties under state and federal laws protecting election integrity and worker safety. Attorney Carter, tell me what is going on here.
Someone tell me this though, because my mother-in-law used to work at the polls a lot. Is there ever been a man who volunteers at the polls to help out? Because this is horrible that all these sisters got to try to fight this. But
that one looked like she gonna give him a run for his money. That one
was about to let him.
That one was about 6'4". She could have
waiting for a chance.
She was waiting for a chance today.
Swung him every which way but loose around there.
Yeah. She was like, hold my mule.
What I would have did was grab that cane that grandma got, and I would have started swinging the cane, and then I would have went outside myself and called the police and sat there to be arrested. That's what I would have done personally.
I got to do a different take on this. I'm blaming his wife. And here's why. All right, a couple months ago, my wife and I went out with another couple. Now, I'm not going to name them on the YouTube. Let's just say Darnell and Taniqua. That happen to be their names, but you don't know who they are. Darnell and I, we're having a great time. We're out there, getting it in, whatever whatever you young people do. And I mean, we're so drunk, we dancing with each other's wives. All right, we having a great time. Okay, all of a sudden, Darnell starts talking to another guy at the bar, and the guy says something disparaging about Detroit, F Detroit.
What?
And my boy is from Detroit.
I'm from Detroit too.
Well, hey, but here's the thing about it is, all right, Detroit ain't that wonderful because he don't live there anymore. He live with me here in Arizona. All right, so Detroit can't be that good. The two of them get mad at each other, and Darnell starts raising his voice. I'm like, oh man, it's about to go down. Until he looks over at his wife and my wife, and they gave him a look in 1 second. Shut all that down. Not only did he not fight the dude, he actually apologized to him, bought him a drink, and hugged him. You know why? Because the look from our wives was like, oh, you can fight him or you can rest in the bed with me, but you ain't gonna do both. Pick one. And he made the right choice.
Was that his wife? But you know, I don't want to make light of this because I was really upset. But from my understanding, Shaitan, and you can lean in on this, this pollster, this guy runs the risk now because the poll worker is a government official, right? And in the state of South Carolina, they have statutes around interference in elections. So this guy is possibly facing not only federal charges, not only criminal charges, but also civil charges. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes, yes, and yes. And so the first mistake that he made was a personal one. It was a fashion choice, right? The fashion choice was made in order to prove a point, but that was not the point that he should have been proving on election day. And we've actually seen pictures of some of the defendants and other people we've been talking about where we've questioned their fashion choices too. And Attorney Carter actually questioned the not moniker that people are adopting that have gotten them into more trouble. Like, people make choices and they have consequences. The second mistake that he made was going up there all, in his words, probably cock diesel, thinking he was going to intimidate people who worked at the polls. Now, one of the things that anybody knows who's ever volunteered for elections is that the poll workers are like a little family. Most of them have been doing it for most of their lives, and they probably got it from their parent because it's easy money. You show up early in the morning. You don't have to do a whole lot except for cross things off of a piece of paper and you get a check, right? So he went in there and was about to mess up everybody's day. Now, this is a highly contested election, and these people have been trained on conflict resolution, but there are limits to that training, and it didn't involve how to deal with stupid, aggressive people who don't know the place. And so here he comes up trying to be all loud, think he's going to get away with things. And as you can see, the training all just fell apart because he almost got jumped on video. And so that was his mistake. Now, as it relates to the legal ramifications, he probably thought it's just free speech because he kept saying, I have rights. You know what? Your rights began and ended when you decided to cross the threshold for a federal election, and you were now subject to those rules. And to your point, he was potentially interfering with the federal election. So those are the federal charges. And then South Carolina has a whole list of election laws. And one that's probably going to be implicated here is the voter intimidation law that forbids threatening, intimidating, or abusing voters and interfering with general elections. And so if he was, and this is what they would allege that he did, was threatening, mistreating, or abusing somebody who was going to vote, then, or one of the workers, then he was going to be involved in this. Now, he's going to defend on the grounds of the same statute and say, hey, I was the voter. I was just trying to exercise my rights, and they were trying to intimidate me. So we're going to be hearing about this particular case for a while because it was all on videotape. And so it's going to be analyzed to try to figure out who was actually the aggressor. Did the force that they tried to exert to get him to remove his hat, did it match the offense? Was there another way that could have allowed this to occur with less volatility? And so we're going to see what happens.
Well, this is the deal. He still doesn't have a right to put his hands on anyone. He like poked her in the head like this. That to me is almost as worse as spitting on somebody. You want to see me turn into a devil, poke me in my face or spit on me. I think I would lose it.
Yeah, and I think that for me,
that's battering.
Yeah, that for me, that shut the hell up when he yelled that to them. I jumped and I was like, "Oh, this took me back to the plantation." So I think it's mindful, to remember the climate that you're in and what area you're in, particularly South Carolina, where I'm sure that it's still very segregated, and people like him still think that they run the city.
Right. Well, I went to law school in South Carolina, and I can vouch for what it's like there. The racial climate is still volatile. South Carolina is one of these places that has a dichotomy. Like, they have these pockets of success for Black people. Columbia, South Carolina, the heart of the Confederacy, has had a Black mayor, and he was a beloved Black mayor, right? And they've had some other really successful Black people. One of my friends, her dad was like the dentist in a small town for generations. He was Black, and apparently people are not racist when their teeth hurt, and everyone loved him. And this was like going way back to when there was still like Jim Crow laws, right? But at the same time, you have these folks who don't get out much, and this guy who's in the video, I don't know his name, but we'll just call him Bubba. And Bubba probably was living with his mama in a double wide, and he drank a lot of beer and watched, some bad TV. And he decided, you know what, today I'm going to go vote. That's what I'm going to do. And no niggers are going to get in my way.
And I'm going to wear my hat.
Exactly.
You're not going to tell me what to do with my hat.
Mm-hmm.
This is America. And I'm
Orangeburg is not too much unlike where you grew up, Al. Like, it's a city that's right on 95. And the other fun fact about Orangeburg is because it's right on 95, it actually is a common drug trafficking area because it's right there on the highway.
Oh, wow. All right. We're learning a lot tonight. All right, everybody. It's that time of the show where we go to you, the jury, to answer any of your questions as it relates to the cases that we covered. First up, we have Danielle Cameron. What is Young Thug supposed to rap about now? The ABCs? John Carter, what you think he can rap about now?
Yeah, seriously, that is one of his conditions of probation for 15 years. Is that he not glamorize and glorify the gangster rap culture? He is going to be doing a lot of Dr. Seuss. I wasn't kidding. All right.
We might link up with Lecrae and do some rapping for Jesus. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Trust me. All right. Too Hot for Green Eggs and Ham is coming out. This will be his first release.
No, Jay gonna be right. He gonna be calling Kirk Franklin. He be like,
Kirk, Fred, all of them, Lecrae, and see how he can get on that.
I don't know if Kirk Franklin could pass that test. He might go to jail for a Kirk Franklin song.
All right, Abby NYC, the MM family says, don't pedophiles give videos as a trust tester? What's that mean?
I don't even want to know what that means.
Yeah, what I think she's saying, but I don't know anything about this culture, is kind of like they would give the video to see if the other person is in that club, right? And so then they're like complicit together because you got something on them and they have something on you. Okay. If I don't help pedophiles, but anybody who thinks that's a good idea, give up that idea because you're going to jail.
Mm-mm. All right, Danielle Cameron said, now 6ix9ine in jail with those people. Oh, Lord, he better wife up.
That's what the meth is for. Take the teeth out.
You know what? You guys are showing out tonight.
Y'all didn't hear that from me.
You guys are showing out tonight. I am done with you, counselor. All right, Danielle Cameron said Whitney said crack was cheap. Show us the receipt. I beat a shit says a crack bong in court. I'm looking at lawyers differently now. Me too. I cannot believe
it's not us. They're not like us. Mm-mm.
Right.
We do be stressed, y'all. We're not even gonna hold y'all. We do be stressed out. They teach you in law school that lawyers have the highest substance abuse rate out of any other profession. So
alcoholism is high.
I thought maybe that was cops or something, but I guess not. All right, Danielle Cameron. You couldn't get tissue in the pandemic, but she was able to get.
I like Danielle.
Danielle is the best. I be the shit. Is Yo Gotti's camp going down? It was a murder for hire. Good question.
Ooh, that brings me to Lil Durk and everything. He just got arrested for. That is a great question because that didn't even cross my mind. That yes, they just got Durk on some stuff that happened 4 years ago now. So those federal cases, when a U.S. Marshal shows up,
that's the last person you want to see at your doorstep, right?
That's the weird thing, though, is you gotta understand this brother actually took the rap because he could have tried to plead and sell out Yo Gotti, and he was like, I'm going to do life plus 50. I'm gonna tell you this now, I'm not doing 50 days for you. All right. If you please come to me, if they come to me, especially come to me with a nice Chick-fil-A sandwich, right in the interrogation room, y'all all going to jail. All right.
Some of that special coffee,
Chick-fil-A sandwich.
That coffee. Let me tell you, it probably was easier for him to snitch than to take the time than to do. Because listen, Yo Gotti, he a real one. That's what he not gonna do was play with you. So he knew he was gonna get got either way. I feel like.
I guess so, but 50
life plus 50. One day I was going to help a client with something, and I called my mother when I was on my way. It was the DEA was up there. And I said, you know what? You need to pray for me because I might be going to jail. And my mom is not about that life, but maybe she is because the advice she gave me as I was walking up the hill, she was like, I thought I taught you better. You might go to jail for your own stuff, but you ain't never going to jail over nobody else's stuff.
Never.
All right. Now that's okay. Hey, only here in the Court of Public Opinion where you get a night like this as you discover and learn about the law. All right, it's that time of the show where we're going to go give our verdict as to whether they are guilty or not guilty, and we'll ask our attorneys to lean in and give us their decisions. First up, we're going to go back to Young Thug. Is he guilty or not guilty? What would he be guilty of except for, woo? I don't know what that picture right there, that producer, our producer is shady. That is a crazy picture. What is he guilty of, Attorney Carter? Is he guilty or not guilty?
Oh, he's guilty of all that stuff. To me, what he's really guilty of is mumbling in the raps. That's where I'm still trying to get past that myself. I would give him an extra 7-8 years just to keep him in my studio. But the truth of the matter is this. Even if you were just fictional rapping about stuff, they do go back and check and corroborate and say, okay, you said you were in New Orleans and you killed so-and-so. Oh, somebody died that night. And you said you're on the corner 57. Oh, would somebody, so if you would actually just change a couple of details, say you in Miami, right? Do something different. They had him on a lot of charges. The thing is kind of interesting though, he needs to thank his lawyers a lot. Put them on the next album. They can mumble too, or put them on the album. Yeah. Because they really kept him out because the 2.5 years delay really kind of got the prosecution like, you know what? We're going to fight this fool for the rest of our lives. We'll just go ahead.
I know, right? Like, let him out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, they went through more than one judge. One judge was like, I'm retired. I ain't going to stay around here. I miss my retirement.
All right, Attorney Valenzuela, what is going on? Is he guilty or not guilty?
I mean, he is guilty as pled, and he said in one of those songs, "I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body."
All right, Attorney Turner, guilty or not guilty?
Attorney Valenzuela made the case for me. Guilty. I know about that lyric.
Attorney Mathis, what say you?
Listen, he looked like he did everything they say he did. Yes, every single word of it, he looked like he did it. So guilty.
Yeah, by the way, you don't even get tattoos on your face for free. Don't you have to earn those?
Yeah, he has a lot of them. Yeah, he looked like he did everything and more.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find Young Thug guilty as charged. Next up, we have the 90-Day Fiancé star Mike Elashwe. Is he guilty or not guilty of child pornography? Attorney Ashley Valenzuela, what say you?
Lock him up.
Wow. Attorney Shatan Turner?
Guilty.
Attorney Madsen?
Clank, clank.
All right, Attorney Carter, what say you?
Someone actually, Kenny Black here in the comments just said he's guilty of having a chick hold him down and going to another girl when he get out.
What?
By the way, his wife wrote a letter for him.
Yeah.
Right? It said, you know, he's a good man. I'm not sure what that letter's about, but I saw the 90 Day Fiance, and she wasn't that into him then. All right, she wasn't gonna hold his hand in public. His family was like, she just married you for the green card. So he's guilty and pathetic.
Got it. All right.
Money. I mean, not to judge her, but there must be some money at the end of that she's gonna get. Yeah. And somebody asked me to write a letter for them once. That's how I know so much about this law. We can talk about that in chambers. I didn't do it.
You may have dodged a bullet. All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find Mr. Elos guilty as charged. Next up, let's welcome 6ix9ine. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to go to you, Attorney Carter. What say you? Is he guilty or not guilty of just being crazy?
Yep, he is. He is guilty. Look at the picture. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Attorney Carter. Attorney Shatan Turner.
Guilty of bad fashion choices, poor tattoo placement, and as a result, anything that he's accused of being guilty of.
Attorney Valenzuela.
He been guilty for 5 years. The Treyway.
All right, Attorney Mathis, what say you?
I'm going to say not guilty till we get the results back and see if it said meth or it was Adderall. So I'm giving that.
Here's the thing is, because I'm on Adderall too, girl. I get it. But you don't do the drugs, you do it right. You get a prescription and a $75 copay, and you do all what you want.
$75? Oh, mine is $10. Woo, you gonna have to.
You must got Kaiser. I gotta get different help. I got Obamacare.
Y'all are crazy.
It's open enrollment now, Attorney Carter. Now's the time.
It's gonna be 85 next year. You seen inflation?
Oh no. I'm Al, and I'm your judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. We're gonna find Tekashi 6ix9ine guilty. Guilty is charged. Next up, Justin Johnson. Is he guilty or not guilty? Oh, I feel so sorry for this young man. Attorney Valenzuela, take it away.
I don't feel sorry for him. That man is guilty.
Attorney Shatan Turner.
Guilty.
Attorney Jay Mathis.
Straight job was straight dropped, so he's guilty.
Attorney Carter.
I'm gonna say he was guilty on the murder charge, but not on the extra 50 years. After you die, you should get out.
I changed my opinion too.
That's fair. That's fair.
How you gonna go to hell if you gonna go back to hell?
Yes. We're gonna deal with you after that.
He gonna have this room with Diddy for the last 50 years.
Without baby oil.
No, Diddy not gonna hang around no snitches. Diddy don't want it that bad. He's not gonna hang around no snitches. He don't do snitches. He need people that's not gonna tell.
Oh God, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and we're gonna find Justin Johnson guilty. Guilty is charged, but please give the brother a break. He can't go back to jail when he go to hell. All right, last but not least, the guy who assaulted, I don't think I have his name, but is he guilty or not guilty of disrespecting our poll workers and breaking the law? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I told you before, I'm blaming his wife and his mama there. The way in the cane, that's all her fault.
Attorney Valenzuela?
Guilty of all charges.
Attorney Turner?
Yeah, you said guilty of disrespect. I think regardless of how this plays out, this is all kinds of wrong. And like his wife should take him and slap him upside the head.
Yeah.
That's bad. Attorney Jay Mathis, what say you?
He's guilty, but he was lucky that he was able to walk away with all his teeth in his mouth. But still,
sure is.
Wait a minute, you act like he walked in there with most of his teeth.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find this voter guilty. First of all, You don't ever want to argue with 5 black women. That is where you went left. Period, sir.
And a little white one. She was there for it.
The one that came out of her shoe. The one that came out of she comes out of her shoe.
And you know what? There's a theme song for these election poll workers, right? Remember that old song? I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared.
You know what we need to do?
After him.
We need to get the people at the Alabama boat brawl to do the polls from now on. That would end it different.
That's good.
Bro. Alabama, bro. All right, guys, we've had a fun time tonight here in the Court of Public Opinion. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to share and invite a friend. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications. And if you're like me, what a Friday night we've had. Court is now closed.